Now, some of you may have challenges between what's the difference between rounding off and sometimes when you're giving nearest. Is it a versus situation here? Not really at all. This here means that it is or, but now you need to determine how to approach it when looking at rounding off versus when it says to the nearest. And so we're going to look at the rules and how the rules applies here. Now when we look at rounding off, this here focuses on when it is addressing the following: rounding off to the nearest significant digit. However, looking at nearest, we are looking at the powers of 10 in terms of the place value of a specific digit in a number. Now, looking at the rules, this involves the following steps to be applied in order for you to be successful in accomplishing either rounding off or sometimes in this case when given to the nearest power of 10 place value in a number. Now the first step is the following: if the digit after the significant digit is what in this case to be greater than 5, then we have a situation where the significant digit is going to increase by 1. However, when we have our digits after the significant digits to be less than 5, it means here that this here our significant digits will remain the same. So this here is the first rule to keep in mind in terms of getting to our rounding off, or sometimes in this case to the nearest. And the second step here includes the following, which is you must replace the digits to the right of the significant digits with 0, either decimal or without a decimal point. So those are the things to keep in mind. However, when is decimal point present and we are looking at to the nearest, then that will be a different scenario when we're looking at the ones with less than 1 but not equal or less than 0. Now, before we move on to an example, one important correction or adjustment to be made here is that we're looking at, for example, when the digit after the significant digit is greater than or equal to 5, and this here is what we are going to use in order for we to add 1 to the significant digit in question. And so now, looking at the example, we have the following where we are going to be rounding off to the 3 significant digits. And so in here, since we have the following number, which is 40,350, we can count our significant digits from left to right. In here, this is our first significant digit, which is 4. Second significant digit is 0. That is significant because the number after it is significant, which is a non-zero, which is 3. And 3 here is the third significant digit. So since here that 3 is a significant digit, the digit after 3, which is 5, is going to be questioned as whether it is greater or is it equal to 5. And in this case here, 5, it is in this part here equal to 5. Therefore, I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, and this here results in what? 4, 0, 4. But now the digits after the significant digit in question is going to be 0 and 0. And so this here is our answer for A. Now in terms of place value, which is power of 10, we know that this here is a 10,000th, this here is placed as the 1,000th, this here is placed as the hundredth. So that means that the question can be rephrased as round off 2 instead of 3 significant digits. This can also be rephrased as to the nearest what? To the nearest 100. And so once you're able to recognize this as well, you can be able to also ask the 5 whether it is greater than or equal to 5, and this here will also result in our final answer right here. Let's try another example, but in this case we're going to be looking at a large number but with a decimal point. So in here we have another question, but in here we are going to be converting or round off to 4 significant digits, and here is a number 25.363. And looking at this, first step of course is to highlight or count the significant digits from left to right. And so this here is our first, which is 2, and then the second is 5, the third one is 3, which is after the decimal point, and the fourth significant digit is 6. Therefore this here is what we're going to be changing depending on whether the digit after the fourth significant digit, in this case which is 3, is greater than or equal to 5. In this case it is not, it is less than 5. Therefore we're not going to change. The significant digit is going to remain the same. So in this case we call it round down in here, and therefore our 3 will become 0, and our final answer, because our 3 is less than 5 and we said that there is no change, which means that the significant digit in question is the same, our answer will be 25.360 as our answer. Now, in terms of how we can readdress this question, this can be readdressed based on the position of the 6, because now that we have a decimal point, the numbers after the decimal point are less than 1. Therefore we are going in here, our 3 is in the 10th, and next here is that our 6 will be in the 100th, and therefore since our 6 is positioned as the 100th, this question can be rephrased as we should round to the nearest 100th. And this here is another way that this question can be paraphrased for you to target what the 100th digit is, which in this case is 6, and also do the same thing that we did for the previous steps, and you should get the same answer. Please remember the following. In here, when you have an additional digit and we see that 4 is the question that should be asked as to whether it should be able to round up or round down to the fourth significant digit, which is 6. In this part here, we are not allowed to ask the digit after 4 whether it should increase the 4 to a 5. Like for example, some of you or some students may actually use the 7 and increase it the 4 to 5, because 7 is greater than or equal to 5, and this here becomes 5, and then 5 changes this number here because 5 is equal to 5. That means 6 becomes 7. That is not allowed at all. So never do that, but always focus on the digit after the significant digit and ask it directly, are you greater than or equal to 5, or are you less than 5? Because 4 is less than 5, you must round down. In this case 6 will remain the same. So some of you might actually write it as 25.360, and some others might just leave it as 25.36, and so either ways that is still correct as your answer to the question. Now the next one here is, how about you're given a small number? Now for this example, which deals with a small number where we have to round off to 4 significant digits, we have 0.002579, and in here we can focus on what are the significant digits here. We have a 0, we have a 0 after the decimal point. Those digits are significant because after the zeros we have a non-zero digit, and so this here we're going to start off with our number in here to be the first significant digit, the second significant digit, the third significant digit is 2, and the fourth significant digit here is 5. So which means here that we're going to ask 7 here whether it is greater than or equal to 5, and yes indeed it is greater than or equal to 5. Therefore our 5 will be rounded up, which means we're going to add 1 to become 6. Now, therefore, our answer is going to be 0.002 what? 6. And this here is our answer to the question. Now, keep in mind that if this question is phrased in a different way, which means that using the nearest, these are fourth significant digits will be what? In here to be, because our 0 is the 10th, and then our 0 again here is the 100th, this here is the 1000th, and this here is the 10,000th. This here automatically is going to be written or rephrased as to the nearest 10,000th. And so that is something you should keep in mind when it comes to this particular style of question here. Now, keep this here handy and understand the differences between large numbers, small numbers, and also how the digit after the significant digit plays a huge role in terms of whether you're rounding up or rounding down, and also what does it mean when we are talking about whether it is a significant digit or versus it is with the powers of 10, which is mainly due to the fact that we're looking at rounding to the significant digit or we're rounding to the nearest number. So, hope you found this really informative. Please hit the comment down below. Let me hear your thoughts about this. By that way, we can talk to you soon. Stay smart as always and believe in yourselves.